I'm Dr. Tanya here with your Tuesday's tips, and today we're talking about nutrition, especially during COVID-19, where you can't always get to the grocery store to get what you want or what your kids want all the time. So you have to make some compromises. You have to sometimes eat frozen food. You have to sometimes eat things that you may not like, or eat other things again and again and again just because you have them in your refrigerator. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do, and share with family and friends who are also interested in learning what they need to know to keep their family healthy and safe. So many of you might know that 5 years ago I wrote the book What to Feed Your Baby with my good friend, dietitian, and chef Beth Saltz. And the idea behind our book was 11 foundation foods that we felt that if you started feeding infants at a young age, 4 to 6 months of age, and you fed them every day, every few days on a regular basis, they would grow up to be nutrition-loving, non-picky, healthy eaters. And we've actually found that the kids that have followed our plan and their older siblings and parents as well have told us all that they are healthier, they are less picky, they are open to more nutritious, adventurous foods, and they're also healthier overall. But over the last few weeks, we've been getting calls from some of these same families saying, you know, what do? We can't always have fresh vegetables to incorporate into our kids' dinner. The berries that we bought went bad really quickly, and we can't go to the store again for 3 weeks. What if we can't cook fresh fish? You know, what are other alternatives and options for us to still feed our family healthy at home? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And to help me with this, I am going to reach out to Beth Saltz, dietitian and chef, because she always has fabulous ideas to help feed your family. So we're going to talk about a few different things today. We're going to start off talking about fruit. So I know in my house, my kids do eat a lot of fruit, but when I overbuy fruit, it goes bad because I'm only going to the grocery store like every 7 to 14 days. When it starts going a little bad, I'll often put it in the freezer so that way I can use it for smoothies. But sometimes we don't have the fruit my kids want to eat every day, so they have to eat apples and apples and apples. And you know what? I think that's okay. But Beth has a lot of tips for us on how to feed your family fresh, healthy fruit. So let's take it to Beth. What advice do you have for our families?
Let's talk about fruit at the grocery store. So we have our fresh fruit, like fresh berries, things like that. Well, this is going to be eaten really, really quickly, and if for some reason it wasn't eaten, the berries don't have a great shelf life. So for berries, number one, you want to try to wash them and serve them very close to when you bought them. And then if they start kind of looking like they're getting a little soft, or you see that they're getting a little wrinkled and they're kind of at their end, then you can just simply freeze them. So these are fresh strawberries that I simply froze in a freezer bag, and then I'll be able to throw them into a smoothie. I'm actually making my 14-year-old really big smoothies every day and just using frozen fruit for that. Another thing that you can do with fresh fruit is you can make my homemade fruit roll-ups, and we'll link the video on how to do that. It's really easy, and there's only 2 ingredients. So you have your fresh berries that we talked about, and then some fruits have a much longer shelf life. These little sumo citrus, they last a long time, and so do apples. So this is a kind of phase 2 fruit after your berries are consumed. You can have this, or I just saw watermelon in the store, that's coming in. Apples last a really long time. You can make homemade applesauce with your kids. That would be really fun. Also bananas. You can get a few yellow ones, you can get a few green ones, you can make banana bread, banana muffins, things like that. Involve your kids making all those fun things. And then the last in the fruit category is what I call pantry fruit. So shelf-stable fruit like unsweetened applesauce, or peach slices, maybe in a can or a jar. You just want to give them a real quick rinse so you kind of get rid of that really heavy syrup. And if you plan it out like that, then you can have fruit the whole week, because as you know, we're limiting the trips to the grocery store, and if you're also relying on delivery, there's just no guarantee that what you order is actually gonna come. So try these, and I hope that that helps you feed your kids and your family lots of delicious, healthy fruit.
Those are some great ideas, Beth. I never thought about making healthy 2-ingredient fruit roll-ups for my kids. I'm sure any child would love that. And I think I need to get back to making some banana bread too with those mushy bananas. We did make frozen bananas dipped in chocolate the other day. That will last for a while in the freezer. That's more of a dessert, but it's still sort of a healthy option. So thank you for that. All right, let's talk about vegetables now. So I try to make vegetables every night for dinner. Well, truthfully, I cook every few nights and then we eat leftovers for a few days in a row. And a lot of my kids' favorites aren't available when we've been going to the store. And I feel like broccoli's there every other week. So I've been trying to experiment, and some of the veggies are getting eaten and some aren't, in which case I just eat them the next day for lunch. I also still have a lot of frozen vegetables that I bought before we went into quarantine, just in case, so I might need to start stir frying some of those up. But give our audience some advice for how to get your kids to eat vegetables and what to do now if you can't get fresh vegetables or frozen vegetables. What are other options people can try at home?
A lot of challenges, very similar to fruit. I actually went to the grocery store today for the first time in, I think, about 8 or 9 days. And still, the grocery store that I was at had no frozen vegetables. I think I actually saw frozen edamame, but there were no frozen peas. It's so crazy to think that you can't get frozen peas at so many grocery stores. One great tip, if it's in your area, you could sign up for a fruit and veggie delivery box, and most of them let you select or opt out of the things that you know your family will like, and then you can opt out of the things you don't know how to cook or you know that is really not a favorite in your family. Broccoli and green beans. So if you're able to find them at the store, they have a pretty long shelf life. And with broccoli, you can roast it, you can saute it. Most vegetables, actually, you can really easily roast them with just olive oil, salt, and pepper. Put them on a baking sheet, roast about 425 for about like 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the type of vegetable. That's really easy. I love sauteing, actually, so you can saute with some garlic or shallots, some olive oil, salt, and pepper. And that really brings out the flavor, so your family will enjoy them more than plain. Carrots, I go through a ton of carrots because, again, those have a really great shelf life. Don't forget about potatoes. I bought these at Sprouts, these organic hash browns. They have one ingredient, which is potatoes. That's it. So I think that this is a really great option. You can serve them at breakfast or anything like that. I also found some frozen riced cauliflower that has been in my freezer for when I'm out of everything fresh. Sweet potatoes are a great option too. And don't forget that if sometimes, depending on your kids, if you ask them, do you want carrots on the side, they might say no. But if you cook them anyway and just put them out, then you might have a better chance. Don't give up. Keep making them, keep serving them. This is a great time to involve your kids. Even a really young 3 or 4-year-old could help you tear the broccoli and tear the stems off and help prep all these veggies. So definitely involve them now that we have the time and we're going nowhere.
Thanks, Beth. You know, we've been really good about having family dinners, but I think I could do a better job about involving my kids, especially the 5-year-old, in preparing all the vegetables, as you mentioned, because then they might be more willing to eat them. Another thing I've been doing with leftover vegetables in the refrigerator is throwing them into morning omelets as well, for myself, my husband, and my oldest, who will eat veggies in their omelet, and I find that's a great healthy way to get rid of some of those vegetables that may be going bad. I want to talk a little bit about dairy now. Those of you who know me know that I am a huge dairy person. I do feel that milk is a great source of vitamin D for kids, and I'm also a big fan of yogurt. And so in my house, we do eat a lot of dairy. That said, it's not the same as it was prior to COVID. So Beth, what advice do you have for my family and my patients who like to drink milk and eat yogurt and cheese all the time.
Dr. Tanya, I know that prior to COVID, you would have 3, sometimes more different varieties of milk in your refrigerator to fit all of your kids and your family's different needs. Well, now you might order for delivery or go to the store and they might only have one type of milk. They might not have the brand that you normally buy. We kind of have to be a little bit more flexible right now. Ultra pasteurized milk is great because you get weeks before the expiration date. You can have your kids help and really line them up, and if you have a couple extra containers of milk, just make sure that you're checking those expiration dates and using the newest ones first. And when it comes to yogurt, I have these 2 right now. This I maybe normally wouldn't buy as much. It does have a little bit more sugar, and this one is plain, but it's about to expire. But I didn't have much of a choice. I actually ordered for delivery, so I have to go with the flow. And I'm using the yogurt to make my daughter smoothies, going through it pretty quick, which is great. Also, if your kids are having Zoom classes, yogurt is a really easy thing for them to eat really quick in between classes. So basically, when it comes to dairy, my advice would be it's okay to be flexible right now, because chances are most of us are not going to be able to always get our preferred brand, organic versus non-organic. Also, price is a consideration. A lot of people aren't working or working far less, so we have to be mindful of cost as well. And those are just a couple thoughts I have about the milk and yogurt.
Thanks, Beth, for that great advice about milk and yogurt. You know me and my family very well. We've also been doing a lot of cheese and cheese sticks. In fact, for some reason, I've been eating a lot of string cheese at my office because it's an easy snack between patients that I can eat without touching with my hands. So that's been sort of an office snack for all of us here. Another thing that I've been very into lately, and that I always recommend for patients over age 4, is to feed your kids whole nuts as a crunchy snack. And now that my kids are home all the time and they want that snack and they're kind of going and reaching for the popcorn or the chips, I'm saying hey, what about all these raw nuts? They're so healthy. Great source of protein and other nutrients that you need. So I'm trying to encourage my kids to snack on whole nuts more. And then nut butters. Many of my patients could not bring nut butter sandwiches to school when they were in regular school. And so as long as you don't have an allergy in your family's house, peanut butters and almond butters are actually very shelf stable. I keep them here at my office too. And a great way to make lunch for your entire family and just leave them on the table, because everybody is having lunch breaks now at different times depending on their virtual online school. And nut butter is very healthy. You can also put into smoothies, mix it into yogurt or oatmeal in the morning. So let's jump to Beth now and see what advice she has for all of us about incorporating nut butters and nuts into our diet.
I'm going to share my favorite snack right now, and it all stays in the pantry. It's just walnuts mixed with tart dried cherries. It's really, really great. Super, super healthy. And my other favorite, my kids don't eat very many nuts, but my whole family eats these salted cashews from Costco. And I was pretty lucky actually to get a delivery a couple weeks ago, and I got 2. That was great. Healthy 1 ingredient snack. And those are 2 of our favorites.
I'm jealous that you got a Costco delivery order. I've been having a real tough time with deliveries. My Costco order didn't show up. My Erewhon order came with a quarter of what I wanted. My Instacarts have either canceled on me or not shown up. So what am I doing wrong? I need you to order delivery for me, Beth. So next, let's talk a little bit about chicken, meat, beans, legumes. So over the last few weeks, I've actually had luck at the grocery store, being able to buy raw chicken and meat to bring home. The weather's been nice, so my husband's been barbecuing, and so my kids have been loving the burgers he's been making, the chicken breast, the steak. We're also doing some, grilled corn on the cob and other veggies when we have the barbecue going. I haven't been making a lot of fish because only half of my family will eat it, and they don't always like the smell. But I've also been stocking up when I do go to the grocery store and freezing some of the chicken, some of the beef to make later. I've been buying frozen chicken at Trader Joe's and frozen fish, as you always recommend, Beth, to keep in the freezer. That way, when I do feel like making it for my family, it's there and I don't have to worry about if I buy it and then I don't have time to make it and it just sits there and goes bad, after a few days or a week. So what other recommendations do you have for us? And I heard you had a new chicken recipe you were going to talk about.
I was talking to my sister today, and she loves this Pioneer Woman recipe, mango salsa with chicken thighs and rice. So on my trip to the store, I looked for mango salsa. There was no mango salsa. I did have some salsa at home. I'm gonna show you how it turned out. It looks pretty good. Hopefully my family is gonna eat it. And if they do, I'll share the recipe. I'm also gonna share a really easy chicken drumette recipe, the little tiny bone-in parts of the chicken. Definitely, if you're able to, buy an extra pack or two of chicken if you're within your purchasing limits at the store, and just stick them in the freezer, because there's so many great things you can do with frozen chicken. You can put it in the crock pot, in the Instant Pot. If you're planning ahead, you can just defrost it in the fridge overnight and use it to make all sorts of dishes. So wish me luck. Hope my family approves this dish.
I think that chicken looks delicious. If your kids don't like it, I'll take the rest for my family. So thanks so much, Beth, for sharing all those great cooking and nutrition tips for us. I also want to remind everyone that lentils and beans are another good source of protein. Whether you're vegetarian or not, these are things that you can incorporate into your family's diet every day. And before everything closed down, I actually did go to the grocery store and try to stock up on some canned food. And so I ended up buying a lot of canned beans, canned lentils, canned chili. And then I realized that we were going to keep being able to go to the grocery store at least once every week, every other week. And so I had all these cans of beans and chili and lentils sitting in my cupboard. So I started using some of it to make different dishes, add into burritos and tacos, and my kids actually liked that. Then the other thing I've been doing is I've been bringing canned food to my office, and my nurses have been laughing at me, but I feel like if nobody's gonna eat it at home, I don't want it to go bad. So I've been eating that as my lunch every day. I think I have canned corn today for lunch. I feel like we all need to be flexible during this time, right? So if any of you have any good COVID-19 flexible feeding tips for your family to keep everyone's nutrition up and to keep them excited about helping in the kitchen and learning to eat veggies and all sorts of healthy foods, please leave them here. Who knows, Beth and I may be working on our next book to raise a healthy, non-picky family that loves to cook and eat meals together. And that's actually one thing I've been hearing from so many more families these days, which is making me feel so good, is that families are having more family meals together. I know my family's been eating breakfast together and dinner together almost every night. And that's such a great quality time together to talk about what's going on during the day, answer any questions my kids have, and just to really get back to life together as a family. Because before quarantine, things were pretty busy. There were so many activities. We weren't eating as many family dinners as we really should have been. And so now I feel like we're back on track. And hopefully these traditions and routines will continue even when kids do get back to school in the fall. Thanks. See you next week.